Good morning. I have a ton of readers who love my Instant Pot recipes and love to make them in the slow cooker or the stovetop method that I have because they're afraid of an Instant Pot. And so I thought, especially with this time of year and all the Black Friday sales next week, I thought it'd be good to just walk you through what it is and how to do something very simple and why it's not gonna blow up your kitchen, because that's all like what we're afraid of, right? Those old pressure cooker stories where you see the pictures of the pressure cooker on the oven. It's not the same. So this is my Instant Pot. I have an 8-quart duo. I can't even tell you right now if it has a yogurt function or not. I know that's a big thing for people. That's not a big thing for me. I don't like yogurt. But this is my 8-quart. So it came with, this is the pot itself. This is the inner liner that it comes with. It comes with a trivet. There's tons of accessory trivets that you can buy everywhere. You don't need one. This is the only thing. You can totally cook with it out of the box. You don't need anything else unless you want to do fancy, fun recipes, and I'll talk about that later. This is the trivet. It goes inside of the liner, and then this is your lid. Super solid, super safe. It has a ring inside, a silicone ring to help it come to pressure. There's a valve that you can switch from sealing to venting. We are gonna make hard-boiled eggs because I always recommend that you start out with the simplest recipe ever, and it's hard-boiled eggs for me. And I make them every week, and they're super easy and simple. I'm gonna start it so that you guys can see how this all works, and then we'll sit down and chat about the Instant Pot and what it is and all of the questions that everybody's been asking me forever. I'm gonna answer them. So you put the silicone, or you put the Instant Pot liner inside the pot. You know what, let me show you. There's a heating element in here, and that's the only heating element in the pot. So the sides don't get hot like a crock pot. Well, they get hot, but not because there's a heater in there. So the liner goes in the Instant Pot. The trivet, the one that came with the pot, is in the liner. Different Instant Pot models, different sizes, require different amounts of water. And you need water or fluid of some kind for your Instant Pot to come to pressure. I'm using just over 1.5 cups. And so I have to tell you that hard-boiled eggs took a couple times to get perfect. Different people like their eggs different ways. And that's okay. And different pressure cookers come to pressure at different times across the country, depending on your elevation. And there's no reason for it. I don't understand it, but there's something to be said for everybody's kitchen. And I have no idea what it is, but there is a variable there somewhere. So my recipe for hard-boiled eggs says a time that a lot of people use. I use 4 minutes. In my kitchen, I use 4 minutes. So you might have the perfect hard-boiled egg at 6 minutes, and somebody else might have it at 3. And it depends on how you like your eggs, the elevation of your house, and that unknown factor that I can't figure out. And there's a lot of us, a lot of recipe creators that talk about it, and we try to figure it out, and there's an unknown factor somewhere. So the bottom line is you need to figure out what works for you. So it's gonna take a couple times. The first couple times that I made hard-boiled eggs, I would open the pot and there would be no water left. The eggs weren't burnt, but there was no water left. You know, the next time I did it, I'm like, oh, they're too boiled. So then I bumped it down a minute. And then I think I actually bumped it down 2 minutes, and then it was not boiled enough. So then I bumped it up a minute. And so that's where I came to 4 minutes. So I'm gonna do 6 eggs, and I'm just gonna place them randomly on the trivet. And I know that some people do it right on the bottom of the pot. I just feel better because it's up above the water. I don't know that it really matters. I think it's a preference thing. I'm gonna come back and read all your comments in just a few minutes. Okay, so the eggs are in the pot. I'm gonna close it. And there's only one way that this lid is gonna go on, and I can't tip it and show you now. But there's a place for this bump in the lid to go. And you hear it close. And then you hear it lock. And you can't open it. It's impossible to open. It's locked in there. And you can't get it open. You can't pry the lid off. You can't do any, it's stuck in there when it's closed like this. And so I'm gonna hit this vent on top to sealing, which means that it's not gonna let air out. It's gonna keep all the air in and keep the pressure in. And so I'm using terms that are very not professional because I'm not an Instant Pot expert. I'm somebody that cooks in their house and likes to use the Instant Pot. So that's my little disclaimer. I can't promise you that trying to think of how to say that nicely. I can't promise you you're not going to mess up your dinner, but I can show you that how I use it. And I've messed up dinners. I have messed up dinners. I have messed up hard-boiled eggs. And it's just, you have to try it just like anything else, just like when you use your oven for the first time. Okay, so pressure cook, you push the pressure cook button. They all have a little bit different buttons on them. So if yours doesn't have a pressure cook button, it might have a cook button or a manual button. So if you look at it, and then if you post in some of the groups, there's so many Instant Pot groups, they'll help, everybody will help you. And so if you hit pressure cook, and then mine's actually already set for 4 minutes because hard-boiled eggs is the last thing that I made, you just leave it. So I set the timer, and I hit pressure cook, I set the timer, that means it's starting. And so the 8-quart Instant Pot takes a little bit of time to come to pressure, which it kind of stinks, but there's nothing you can do about it. The 6-quart comes to pressure faster. We had a 6-quart and we used it for a long time, but then I just found that we use the 8-quart more when we had company over, or if I wanted to make like a huge batch of something for meal prep. So we have both. I lent my 6-quart to a friend so she could see if she liked it. So here's the deal about the stress about the Instant Pot. I totally get it. It comes to pressure in the middle of your kitchen. My dad actually, for a while, I would start it on the counter and he would move to the other side of the room when it was cooking, just because it's that generation that knows that those pressure cookers are can be unsafe. And so with the old school pressure cookers, you could open them. That's the huge thing. You could open them. So when that was at full pressure, you could flip your switch or whatever, but you could open that lid, which is where so many of those horrible pictures that are online have come from. You cannot open this. And I'll show you after when it comes to pressure. You cannot turn it and unlock the lid when it's under pressure. And there's a little pin over here. I can't show you now because it's behind the handle. But it pops up, and most of them are red, some of them are silver, but it'll pop up when your pot has come to pressure, and you'll know that you cannot open it. And you have 2 choices for releasing the pressure. You can release it naturally, which means that you just let it release naturally. You don't touch it. Even under the ceiling, when your vent is sealing, it will still slowly release pressure. And it takes about 20 minutes, depending on how full your pot is. It takes about 20 minutes to release pressure naturally. That's really good for meats. Things that do well when they sit a little bit longer. If you're doing like eggs, I want to release that manually, which means that I'm going to flip this switch from sealing to venting. And I'm just planned on putting the eggs in. We're going to wait for it to come to pressure. I'm going to talk to you guys about all the questions that I get, and then you'll be able to watch. And I'm standing here right next to my Instant Pot while it's coming to pressure because it's totally safe to do so. And I do this in my kitchen with my kids here. I do it with my family here. I do it with me here. I'm not stressed about it at all. I feel totally comfortable that this is a reliable appliance. I've had one for about 2 years now. Okay, so anyway, so when you flip the switch to manual, it will shoot out a huge, loud spray of steam, which is unnerving the first couple times you do it. So I used to do it with like the end of a spoon, and I'd stand back and I'd wait. At this point, I'll just flip it and walk away. I will also flip it, and if it's something like goulash that's gonna make my house smell like whatever I'm cooking, I actually will stick a towel over it. I think they tell you not to do that. I stick a towel over it, but I stand there and I watch it. And so you let the pressure out fast because you don't want that stuff in there to cook any longer. So pasta, eggs, vegetables, you don't want them to just sit in that hot pressurized pot because they're going to become overdone. You can set your Instant Pot from anything from 0 minutes on up. So you can steam something or pressure cook it for 0 minutes. And what it does is it takes the 10-20 minutes for your pot to come to pressure, and then it immediately starts releasing pressure. So it doesn't even really cook it. I do that a lot for different vegetables. Or I have a couple recipes that require, or I've done a couple recipes that require adding vegetables at the end of your meat. And I'll do that sometimes sometimes I'll double the vegetables in a recipe, and I will, I'll turn it on to 0 minutes just so that it gets a little bit warmer in there and it cooks them a little bit faster. So like I said, you can use your Instant Pot with whatever it comes out of the box with. You don't need any special accessories. Wanting special accessories is something that we all do. It's kind of like getting a new charm bracelet and you want to get all those new charms. So some of the accessories that I cannot live without, I've listed a bunch of them on my blog that I've used and liked. There are a few that I love. And so one of the ones that I love is extra sealing rings for the lid. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it's slowly starting to make some noise. And it just means that it's coming to pressure. I don't know if the water's boiling or what it's doing, but it's making some noise. So extra sealing rings. So the very first thing that I made in my Instant Pot was meat, and forever my sealing ring will smell like meat. And I hate that, especially when you're trying to make lemon bars or hard-boiled eggs. So I went and got some extra sealing rings, and Instant Pot sells them, and they sell them in different colors, guys. So the clear one came with the pot, and I know that that's my meat ring forever. And there's a ton of things that you can do to get rid of that, that smell, but I feel like it always smells a little bit like it, so you can stick it in the dishwasher. I found that the best thing that I can do for my sealing ring is to stick my lid out on my, I'm pointing to my patio, on my patio and just let it sit in the sun for a couple days, and it's fine. I have ruined lemon bars in the past because I used my meat sealing ring and I had to toss them, and I have actually not made lemon bars since because in my head, like, they just stink like meat. So I actually want to try one of my new rings that I got. So there's a blue one in here, hard-boiled eggs. I'll use that for hard-boiled eggs. I'll use it for plain pasta. I'll use it for sweet potatoes, anything that doesn't have like a strong smell that's gonna get stuck in it. So it's slowly starting to release some steam. I don't know if you can see it or not. And I can hear it, and it's sputtering a little bit around where the pin sticks up, but it's totally normal. And I'm standing right here and I'm touching it because I know that it's completely safe. I've done it 100 times. So sealing rings are probably going to be one of your first purchases because it's just nice to have an extra set of them. Egg molds. So I think you can probably see it now if I stand in front of it. Like a decent amount of steam coming out, and that's just normal because it's coming to pressure. Egg bite molds. So I use egg bite molds for many things. I use them for my Instant Pot. They're actually, so they're not egg bite molds, they're actually baby food molds. So if you look on Amazon, you're gonna be looking for the baby food molds made of silicone. I always try to look, I have one that I link to that I like. It doesn't smell. A lot of people say that when they pull theirs out, it smells, and I'm not a fan of that at all. So I don't want to be cooking anything that I can smell. It can't be good to be heating up and putting your food in. So I will link to these again below the video so that you can see. I use these for freezing things like chicken broth. So that I think usually it's a 1/4 cup of chicken broth fits in each one. So that if I don't have any, you know, you open a big thing of chicken broth and you only use a little bit of it and then it goes bad and it kills me because it's expensive. I get the bone broth usually. And so it only stays in the fridge for a couple days. So I will freeze them in these. And I have a girlfriend who freezes like individual cups of cheese that she makes so that she can just pop them out and put them in the microwave. I make egg bite molds in them. That's why I call them egg bite molds. I make egg bites in them. I make little mini meatloafs in them, like little meatballs, but they're meatloafs. I have a recipe for really delicious lemon lime custard bites or lime custard bites. I make those. I have lasagna stacks that I make in them. So these are super versatile. They're about $10 for a set, $10, $15 for a set. And so I love these. So again, these are my absolute favorite. I have a lot of things that I've liked that I've tried over the years. These are my favorites. And so the ceiling ring, the egg bite molds, and there's one more. This double stacking pan. I have a stack and cook. I don't know that it really matters what you have. I've made 2 lasagnas in these. I've made lemon bars and lime bars underneath. So the top one opens. Sometimes it gets like stuck in there. And I have gel nail polish on my nails, so it's not, I can't even get them in. Okay. So the top one is just a lid. So that just, see, I'm sorry, I'm like stopping myself. That just came to pressure, and so the pin is up. There's still a little bit of steam coming out, and I can hear what sounds like boiling inside. But again, I'm gonna stand here and I can touch it. The outside gets hot, the metal gets hot. So if you have kids, make sure that you don't put it wherever that they can get it. But the rest of it's not hot at all. And it's sputtering a little bit. There's a little bit of water around it, totally normal. So the top of these pans, the top one has a regular lid. I don't know if you can hear it or not. So again, totally normal. Like it's sputtering, there's hot water coming out, not enough that it's even touching me. The bottom one has one with holes so that it can vent a little bit. And so what I love is that they come with this trivet that you can kind of stick down, and it's just super easy to get it in and out. Otherwise it's hard, even with the trivet that comes with the Instant Pot. So I love that this comes with its own trivet. I've made meatloaf in one, and mashed potatoes and carrots in the other. I've done, like I said, 2 lasagnas. I've done the lemon bars and lime bars. Like, I feel like you can do anything in there, and I really like the fact that you can cook everything in one pot, and like, that's like you're done. You can do meat and vegetables, and they don't have to be all together like a stew. So my favorite thing about the Instant Pot, period, is that I can cook things in one pot. So if I'm making goulash, I don't have a ton of stuff to clean. I cut my vegetables, I throw them in, and it cooks, and then I'm done, and I have this one pot to clean. The other night we made teriyaki chicken. Same thing, one pot to clean. Usually if I make anything Asian at all, I have dirtied every single dish in my house. But I really love, so this actually just stopped. So it's been cooking for 2 minutes, and it just stopped sputtering and the steam stopped coming out. But again, super safe, I'm right here. I can't move the lid. I can't like move it and wiggle it at all. It's not going anywhere. And so maybe if I tried to pry it with something, it would open, but I feel like Darwin comes into play at that moment. Like, just, you know, leave it alone, don't do it. But I'm standing here and I'm touching it, and it's under pressure, and I'm totally comfortable with the fact that nothing's gonna happen. I've heard of people dropping their pots when they were under pressure and them not opening. I've never seen that happen. I've never had it happen. I haven't talked to anybody that's had it happen. One of the best things that you can probably do is to take the cord and make sure that it's close to the pot, and make sure that there's no kids running around that could grab it or whatever. But other than that, like, telling you guys, super safe. I'm totally comfortable having it in my house. So a couple more things that I just wanted to, since we're waiting 2 more minutes for this to happen. If it doesn't come to pressure, sometimes it doesn't come to pressure. Sometimes I will throw everything in here for goulash or tuna casserole, and I will go putz around and clean the kitchen and do whatever, and I come back and it's not pressurized, and it's been 25 minutes. So usually I will just open it up, and you can tell if it's pressurized. You can tell, like, if it's pressurized, it won't allow you to open it. So I open it when it's not pressurized. Most of the time, my food is already cooked. Every once in a while, I'll close it back up. I'll set it for like a minute, but usually it doesn't even come to pressure the second time, and it cooks. And so don't feel like if it doesn't come to pressure, your dinner's ruined. It's still cooking underneath. It's just not pressure cooking. So the whole Instant Pot name, it's not instant cooking. It doesn't take 2 seconds to cook. So we've done these hard-boiled eggs for 4 minutes. It's telling you that it's done. And now what it's gonna do is it's automatically gonna switch to a low heat, and it's gonna start counting up. So the thing with hard-boiled eggs is you cook them for a couple minutes, whatever your perfect egg is, mine is 4. Then you let it, it's called, like we said, non-pressure release or natural release. Non-pressure release, natural pressure release, sorry. We're gonna do that for 4 or 5 minutes. And so I'm gonna wait for this, I'm gonna keep looking at it. Wait for it to get to 4 or 5, and then I'm gonna release the pressure, the rest of it, and then we're gonna do like a cold ice bath with them. So Instant Pot, it's not instant. So whatever time you see on an Instant Pot recipe, know that you're gonna have to wait for your pot to come to pressure and to release pressure, whether that's a natural release or a manual release. The reason that we don't put these in recipes, the reason that we don't add 20 minutes on either side of a cooking time is because we don't know how long your pot is gonna come to pressure, like how long it's gonna take to come to pressure. So there are 3, 6, and 9 quart Instant Pots, and they all take different times. And like I said at the very beginning, there are also different times depending on your elevation, your house, like so many different factors. So I can't say this is gonna take 10 minutes to come to pressure because that's how long it takes my house, not yours. And so it's a known fact that if you see a time on an Instant Pot recipe, you need to just add time in your head for it to come to pressure and for it to release pressure. So the manual release, when I flip the seal, takes maybe 2 minutes. The natural release, like I said, can take up to like 20 minutes. If at 20 minutes it's still not released, I feel like you could just flip it and release the rest of it naturally or manually and then have it be done. So Instant Pot is not instant. Once it gets under pressure, it's super fast. So hard-boiled eggs, 4 minutes. My goulash, 4 minutes once it comes to pressure. I've done corned beef in, I wanna say like an hour, like fall apart, crazy, soft, perfect corned beef on St. Patrick's Day. I haven't done anything big like a turkey or a chicken. But so once it comes to pressure, it's fast. It's not instant. I don't know who named it. I don't know why they named it Instant Pot. But I know a lot of people get it and are not happy at all with the fact that it's not instant. There are, I think I have another minute, 2 minutes. There are a ton of buttons on the front of your Instant Pot. And so you probably can't read any of them. So this one says soup and broth, meat and stew, bean and chili, poultry, rice, multigrain, porridge, and steam. These are all preset times. So I use that poultry button all the time. All it does for me is it makes it so that I don't have to manually bump up my time to 12 minutes. It cooks for 12 minutes. Frozen chicken and thawed chicken are both gonna be 12 minutes because they both take the same amount of time once they get to pressure. Frozen chicken is going to take longer to come to pressure because your pot is cold and you're making it colder and it's trying to warm it up. And so it's trying to heat up the pot and make it come to pressure. So that's why unless you have veggies or pasta in a recipe, you can use thawed or frozen meat, either one. 3 minutes. So some of the buttons on the bottom, slow cook, saute. So saute is huge, huge. That's what makes it one pot. So when I make goulash, I brown the meat in here. The very bottom, the heating element that I showed you at the beginning, gets hot. I spray it with oil and you can saute your meat. When you're done sauteing your meat, if you were using beef, you would drain it. I usually use turkey, so I don't have to drain it. There's really nothing in there. And then I dump everything else in and set it and go. So like my goulash recipe is our #1. We make it at least once a week. And it's super easy because you can saute in the pot. So that's what makes this different. There's a crock pot setting. Because the entire pot doesn't heat, a lot of people recommend not using the crock pot setting. I do not use a crock pot setting, but I'm not a big crock pot fan. So I don't really use a crock pot anyway. Okay, so this got to 4 minutes, which is how long it's been naturally releasing pressure. So there's not as much pressure in here as there was when it first started to count down. I'm gonna flip it and it's gonna be super loud. Steam's gonna come out. It's not under my cabinets, so I don't have to worry about it ruining my cabinets. And it will take a minute or two. So I'm just gonna look at your questions so that I can think about them and answer them. questions, just lots of highs. Hi guys. So again, I'm gonna turn this so you can see. So I'm moving it while it's under pressure, not nervous at all. So there's this pink, I can hear the eggs rolling around. So this pink or red piece of metal is popped up so that we know it's under pressure. I can push it. Oh, it's actually not under pressure anymore. So when you can just push it and tap it down, you're good. So now, because it's not under pressure, it'll open. So remember before I couldn't wiggle it or anything, I can do it now. And the eggs are at the bottom. There's still water in it. I can't show you because I'm not gonna burn myself holding it. But what I'm gonna do is stick these, I'm just gonna stick them in a cup so I can go give them an ice bath. They're super hot because they were just under pressure. But like I said, this is the easiest thing that you can make. And what I love is that they peel so much easier. I would lose like an entire egg in the peeling process trying to peel them. And so 4 minutes cooking, 4 minutes that it sits under pressure, and then you release it. And then you just stick these in an ice bath for 5 minutes or until you remember about them, because I always forget them in the sink and they sit there for an hour in their ice bath, but they're chilled, so it's fine. Let me see, I had a couple things that I wanted to make sure that I mentioned. If it doesn't come to pressure, presets, accessories, burn warning. There's a burn warning. Sometimes when you cook, it literally says burn. Oh, let me turn it off here. It literally says burn. And usually that's because it doesn't, I don't know that it doesn't sense the water. Like there's no water at the bottom of it. And so if you have like ground beef that you didn't stir, or it does it a lot of time with tomato products. So any kind of, tomato sauce products, it tends to have the burn warning. And so what I've done when I've gotten the burn warning is I've released the pressure, opened the pot, stirred it, added some more water. Remember, everything has to have 1.5 cups of liquid or water in order to cook. In the 8 quart, I think for the 6 it's a cup, and I'm not sure what it is for the 3 because I don't have one. So I, mix it up, pour some more water in, turn it, and then put it back, turn it back on, and then it goes back up to pressure and cooks. Same as when it doesn't come to pressure. Sometimes I've seen that it still cooks with the burn warning. Like it says burn, I was out in the garage, I come in, I see that it says burn, I open it up and it's done. So I stir it, and usually when we've emptied the pot and I go to wash it, I can see that there's some stuff that's burnt on the bottom, and I just use Barkeeper's Friend, and that totally cleans it up and makes it look new again. So next week is Black Friday, and there are gonna be tons of sales on Instant Pots, and I will try to look for them and share them with you. But this has saved me a ton of time, especially for, I feel like, in the evening when it gets a little crazy and you put all your ingredients in here, the fact that you can walk away from the majority of recipes and it just cooks. Like I don't have to watch a pot of boiling water, and I don't have to make sure that the pasta doesn't boil over. And that's what is the time saver for me, is the fact that I can put it in, walk away, come back, and dinner is done. Hold on, I see a question quick. Oh, I know, Heather, with the chickens. Yeah, so my other quick egg trick, I have a egg salad recipe. And one of the things that you can also do, if you know that you're gonna be cutting up and dicing the eggs that you're cooking and hard boiling, like for potato salad or egg salad, you could actually just crack them and put them in the pot and cook them. And then it'll come out in like an egg loaf, which is kind of gross to me. But then you can like dice it and cut it and chop it up, and you don't have to peel all those eggs. So that's another crazy time saver. So yeah, that's one of my favorite egg hacks for using the Instant Pot. So thanks for hanging in with me. I tried to cook the fastest thing that I knew how to cook, but I wanted you guys to see that I get that it's a little stressful having a pressure cooker in your kitchen, but it's different. It's different than an old school pressure cooker. I never say never. It'd be really hard to hurt anybody with this. Like it'd be really hard for something bad to happen with this, because they've put put in so many different safety precautions. And so you saw me cook with it, you saw me stand around it, you saw me touch it and move it and wiggle it, and totally safe having this in my house. And so are pretty much millions of other people, because it's crazy popular. So I hope you find a great one on Black Friday or in all those Christmas sales. And if you have any questions, you can always email me or comment on my Facebook page.